Hi everybody, I have been waiting and waiting to share this story with you. It's called The Old Woman Who Named Things, and it reminds me so much of Alyssa. Matter of fact, look at this picture. Joanne, I'm noticing that light puts a glare on my book. Anyway, this looks like just what I expect Alyssa to look like as an old lady. Look at even like what she's wearing. That's perfect. And Alyssa names everything. She names our Christmas trees. She names her goats. She names, well, of course you name goats, but she names everything. And her children are following the same pattern. So this is called The Old Woman Who Named Things by Cynthia Ryland. Once there was an old woman who loved to name things. She named the old car she drove Betsy. She named the old chair she sat in Fred. And she named the old bed she slept on Roxanne. And she named her old house Franklin. So there's Betsy. Our van was named Bessie. So just goes right with us. Look at Franklin. I love the way the illustrations, you could almost see people in the car and in the house. See his little nose, his little eyes. Every morning she would wake up and get out of Roxanne, have a cup of cocoa in Fred, lock up Franklin, and drive to the post office in Betsy. She always hoped from a letter from someone, but all she ever got was bills. The reason the old woman never got any letters was because she outlived every single one of her friends. This worried her. She didn't like the idea of being a lonely old woman without any friends, without anyone whom she could call by name. So she began to name things. But she only named the things that she knew she would never outlive. Her car, Betsy, had more get up and go than anything around. Her chair, Fred, had never sagged a day in his life. Not one creak or moan had she ever heard from her old bed, Roxanne. The old woman never worried about outliving any of them, and her days were very happy. One day, when the old woman was out soaping some mud off Betsy, telling her that Franklin wouldn't want to be seen with a car that couldn't keep its bumpers a little cleaner, a shy brown puppy came to the old woman's gate. The old woman had not named the gate because two of the hinges had rusted off and she could tell the gate wasn't long for this world. The shy brown puppy wagged its tail. It looked a little hungry. See the little puppy right there? The old woman stood beside Betsy and watched the puppy for a while. She said. Then she walked into Franklin, got a chunk of ham from her refrigerator, and came back outside. The old woman gave the ham to the hungry puppy and told it to go home. She told it that Betsy always made puppies sick. Remember, that's the car. And Fred never allowed puppies to sit on him. Remember, that's the chair. And Roxanne wasn't wide enough for a puppy and an old woman to fit on. That's the bed. And besides all this, Franklin couldn't tolerate dog hair. So the puppy went away. But the next day, the puppy was back. The old woman was sitting in Fred reading a book on everlasting flowers when she saw the puppy through her window. "Go home," she called to the puppy. The puppy wagged its tail when it saw her. "Go home," she called again. But the puppy just kept wagging. The old woman noticed that it still looked a little hungry, so she went to her refrigerator. She gave the puppy a hunk of cheese and 2 biscuits, and then she told it to go home. The puppy went away. That night, as the old woman was plumping up the pillow on Roxanne, she thought about the puppy. It was a very nice puppy, she thought. It was a very pretty puppy, she thought. But it couldn't stay. If it stayed, she would have to give it a name. And it could never last as long as Franklin or Fred or Betsy or Roxanne. She might outlive the puppy. And she didn't want to risk that. She didn't want to outlive any more friends. She would just keep telling it to go home. Every day, the shy brown puppy came to the old woman's gate, and every day she fed it and told it to go home. Always it went away, and always it came back the next day. Look at this outfit that she's wearing. So Alyssa. This went on for months. The puppy got bigger and bigger until soon it wasn't a puppy anymore. It was a dog, and it was still a dog with no name. In all this time, the old woman had gotten a new dresser that she had named Bill, a new wheelbarrow that she had named Francine, and a new concrete pig for her garden that she had named Bud. But the dog, that she faithfully fed at her gate every day, still had no name. Since it had no name, the old woman didn't have to worry about outliving it, and she thought herself pretty clever in this. Then, one day, something happened. The shy brown dog didn't come to the old woman's gate. She sat in Fred and watched all day out the window. But the dog never came, and the old woman felt sad. So the next day when the dog did not come, the old woman drove Betsy around town looking for the dog, but she did not find it. The old woman felt even sadder. Okay, this is one I love, this illustration, because she has on this plastic little rain hat, and my grandma used to wear one of those. It would fold up like to the size of a postage stamp in her purse, and then she would put it on her hairdo. All right, this is my favorite outfit. Love it. Love the vest. Love the cowboy boots. All right, the following day, when the dog still had not come, the old woman knew she had to do something. She picked up her phone and called the dog catcher. "Have you caught any shy brown dogs?" the old woman asked the dog catcher. "Oh, we've got a whole kennel full of shy brown dogs, ma'am," said the dog catcher. "Was yours wearing a collar with its name on it?" "No," said the old woman sadly. She hung up the telephone. The old woman sat and thought about the shy brown dog who had no collar with a name. Wherever it was, no one would know that it was supposed to come to the old woman's gate every day, that she was supposed to feed it and tell it to go home every day, and that things were always supposed to be this way. The shy brown dog had no collar and no name, and no one would ever be able to know these things about it. The old woman made a decision. She locked up Franklin and drove Betsy to the dog catcher's kennel. She said to the dog catcher, "I've come to find my dog." He asked her what color it was. "It's brown," she said. He asked her how old it was. "Oh, about a year old," she said. Then he asked what its name was. The old woman thought a moment. And she thought of all the old dear friends with names whom she had outlived. She saw their smiling faces and remembered their lovely names, and she thought how lucky she had been to have known these friends. She thought what a lucky old woman she was. "My dog's name is Lucky," she told the dog catcher. He led her to a big yard full of white dogs and black dogs and brown dogs. The old woman looked and looked and looked, and finally she saw her own shy brown dog by the gate. Look at him looking at Betsy. The dog was looking at Betsy parked in the driveway. The old woman called out, "Here, Lucky!" And at the sound of her voice, the shy dog came running. This is a great picture. Is that not a happy dog? It also tells you a little bit about how the old woman drives. From that day on, Lucky lived with the old woman. He always came when his name was called. It turned out that Betsy didn't make all dogs sick, and Fred was happy to allow the dog to sit on him. Franklin didn't really mind a little dog hair. And every night, Roxanne was sure to make herself plenty wide enough for a shy brown dog and for a shy brown lucky dog and the old woman who named him. I hope you like that book. It's one of my favorites. The books bring us together when the miles keep us apart. I love you very much. Bye-bye.